Hello.
There's Sarah.
Hello,
Live.
everyone. Yes. Sure. Hello, Mai. Tom.
Good morning.
Morning, Sarah.
Mai, how long will you be in Hoi
Hello,
An?
everybody.
We've been staying here for 1 week. I think so.
Nice. Nice. And how are you enjoying life in Saigon?
Yes, it's better than I thought before. Much better.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yes. Before I didn't like the big city, but I think staying there is quite good.
Good. And it's working well for Jep too, I guess.
Yes. Especially for Chet. She
Oh, well,
really enjoyed living there.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good.
She got good friends.
Yes, a lot
Yeah.
of friends and many activities for kids.
She loves going to school. She can meet friends there.
Okay. Well, that's all a good sign.
Yes. Okay, so we're ready for the discussion.
I think so. Is Ajahn here yet? Ajahn, are you here? Yeah, it's the time. Sarah, did you have any points that people were making last week that you wanted to continue or raise again?
I think the topic that Alberto raised on Saturday would be good to continue, because I'd also questioned the point when I heard it about adhitthana, parami, and patience. So I think it would be good to, confidence, yes. Confidence in this moment, confidence in the truth, adhitthana, parami. So I was also, which has been mentioned a few times recently, and Alberto brought it up at the end on Saturday. I think it would be good to discuss a little more.
That would be great.
Because usually when we hear about confidence developing with understanding, we think of saddha, which can also mean purity. But Ajahna's been referring to confidence in the truth, the development of adhitthana, parami, which, as Alberto said, usually we think of as determination or resolution. So it's a little unusual for us to hear about adhitthana in terms of confidence. So I think it's in the truth. So it's a good point to discuss further.
Mm-hmm.
So we can bring it up again.
That would be good.
Do you have anything else to add, Alberto?
Yeah, I've been reading on the parami leading to enlightenment, the perfections leading to enlightenment, and there it mentions that also chanda is a reality which is involved in this parami. Yeah, the way Ajahn she's been talking recently, I was thinking about saddha as well, because confidence usually is not we think about when talking about saddha. We're talking about confidence. Yeah, it would be. It's difficult to single out one reality for each parami, because even such so many it's subtle and deep subject for a change. Yeah, it's not easy to think about paramis or it's easier to have doubt about them than not to have them about them. But that's I don't think that's important in that sense, because it's so subtle that there's no wondering that there is doubt about it, I think. But it's always good to hear more about it.
And whichever word or translation it's used, it will just be an approximation for the point of communication. It will never be the actual quality, the aditana or the satya parami or the other paramids which have to develop together. And like you say, chanda is not a parami, but without chanda, there couldn't be the development of understanding. It's an iddhipada.
Yes, I could see that. Each one is there are a number of Jetasikas involved. Would have to be.
Yeah. สวัสดีครับอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับท่านอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
We were just discussing a little more about the question that Alberto brought up on Saturday, Ajahn, about with regard to the paramis, in particular Aditana parami, which you have been mentioning in connection with confidence in the truth as anatta, confidence in dharmas arising by conditions and so on. And usually we think of confidence as sada, but you've been mentioning it in connection with aditana, which we, like Alberto said the other day, usually we think of as resolution or determination, like at the moment of understanding, there has to be aditana, but you've been referring to it as confidence. So this is a little unusual for us.
Yes. Is this moment not parami? Is it parami? Is the intellectual parami? Is the intellectual understanding not parami?
It is parami, and it has to be supported by the other paramis.
Yes, and without the Bodhi-Dhamma, can there be any parami to realize the truth now?
No, so there has to be the development of the various Bodhi-Dhammas, like
And
chanda.
we can talk about the 10 parami because they are there now. There must be panya, and there must be dana, give time, and to share the right understanding with the other or other thing. And panya parami, khanti parami are there now. So the parami begins from the moment of studying, seeing the benefit of understanding. The most precious moment is to understand what is there. Is that not Adidana Barami? To know that now it's the reality, no one there at all. And when there's more understanding, more panya, it leads to another level, patipatti and pativeda. All are paramis, but without the Bodhi-Dhamma and without the 3 stages of right understanding, pariyatti, patipatti, and pativeda, there wouldn't be any parami at all. But even now, hearing about the truth, there is confidence, saddha, and adidana to to understand that this can be known because it's there in any moment, every moment in life, from life to life. And it can be understood, can be realized because it's so true to understand the truth when it's there. For example, what is life if there's no, and not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, and this is all life. And it's conditioned from moment to moment to be different. Seeing arises just to see and fall away. Is this parami at moment of understanding the truth? And know that it can be realized no matter how long it will take to develop right understanding, because only right understanding can let go wrong understanding and clinging or kilesa. So parami must be right understanding by different means and the support of our wholesome realities. It cannot be just arise only one by itself at all.
Yes,
So
when
now
you said to know reality, aditana must be there. Yes, there must be the aditana at that moment. But and afterwards you said now there is confidence, saddha, and aditana. So this is what we understood. So the confidence is saddha, and then the aditana is the strong determination or resolution or whatever we like to call it that has to be there at the moment of understanding. So different realities arising together, different bodhipakya dhammas, as you mentioned, I think.
they are all parami, and we can understand which one is parami.
And they have to develop and support each other all the way.
Right.
So I think, Alberto, when Ajahn mentioned before, confidence, aditana, it's confidence, saddha, and aditana. So not aditana is confidence. So I think there may have been a little misunderstanding there.
So how many realities are there now? Do we have to talk of each one, or they are there as conditioned moment arising together, far away together? And when there's the understanding and understand the precious reality as it is, and so it's there to be known, and it can be known no matter how long. Otherwise, many people just listen and then have wrong understanding and turn away from this moment to understand the truth. And that is not parami at all. And it's not adidana too. We don't have to pinpoint which cetasika is there. For example, dana, at that very moment, what is that? There must be wholesome cetasikas, alopa, adosa, amoha, at moment when akusala citta arises. So can we say that kusala with panya are parami, no matter by what means? But it has to be panya, because without panya, how reality right now be known, be realized as no one. And this is the absolute truth, but it's so far away because the accumulation of avijja and attachment is so great. It comes in, it arises all the time. That's why right now, kusala and panya arise among or between many moments of akusala. And that is Viriya Barami and Kanti Barami and Adidana Barami, Panya Barami. To let go the wrong understanding is Nekama Barami and so on. They are there. But when there's no understanding that the past is the development of the Satipatthana, to understand the truth of this very moment. So many people just take it wrong, like they have to do something to understand. That is not panya. That cannot be Intl.Dhamma, and that cannot be Adidana, and that cannot be Satya, and that cannot be Vriya and Khanti. So they all go together because panya is there. Understand firmly that what is there is no one and no thing, and that is the absolute truth. It doesn't matter who cares or who see the benefit of understanding this, but that is the truth. It depends on who would like to understand the truth, to have sattva. We can use the word confidence or whatever to understand what is there as it is by developing right understanding little by little. Naturally, lives go on no matter one gives away, open the doors or not. But it has to be by conditions. It seems like we stretch out the hand, but in fact, what is there? No one. Chitta, Chittasika, and Rupa. And the understanding of the truth is now letting go little by little of wrong understanding until it can condition the right understanding of what is there now. It means that Thira Sanya. Sanya is firm enough to arise, to experience that with the memory of the word of the truth that it's not anyone at all. So all paramis go together, and the understanding, no matter in what level, is the beginning of barami. So barami is developing on and on to understand the truth of what is there now, little by little, until it can attain the moment of realizing the Four Noble Truths. Without barami, it's impossible to understand the truth of this very moment. It's so true that it's not just seeing, it's also hearing and thinking, hardness and so on. If just one reality is not known at a time, how can there be no one and no thing? They appear as something, but they image, shape and form. So no understanding of the truth that actually, even right now, no one there. There is a sound conditioned by rupa, conditioned by on and on, until it's so clear that actually life is just only a moment. And when there's no understanding, it's something, including I, is there too. Is that right? When it's not right, what is the truth of it? It can be understood right now, little by little, to be acquainted with that which used to be I see as only a moment of experiencing an object. Just a moment of experiencing an object from birth to death. So what's the use of just living with attachment to present moment, present situation, craving for this and that, to be forgotten, never to return again at all? So it's just wasting time or not, just arise and falls away all the time. And what is the result? Nothing is permanent at all. And this is Barami too, Virya Barami, to listen, to consider, to have confidence of the truth and the path. It is so very subtle, because whatever now appears arises and falls away instantly, unknowingly, because no understanding of the truth. What is there as no thing and no one at all? Only different realities from birth to death, to be forgotten. Keep on wanting present moment and so on, and then everything gone. from moment to moment. And this is a true life, the truth of whatever is there, no matter when. That's why right understanding has to understand the truth, naturally, by conditions, to understand no thing, no one at all. But there are conditions for whatever arises, no matter we talk about citta or cittasika or rupa. It's now. And this is part of me too. Viriya, listening, considering, understanding the truth. It's not I who can do anything or who can attain such knowledge or understanding. It's the moment of understanding itself, which is different from other moment, which does not understand anything. For example, seeing, just arrive to see and then gone. It cannot understand anything at all. And this is life each moment, to be heard from life to life, depending on that moment of being born, to be such and such, to be able to hear again, to be able to develop understanding again, to see the value of understanding what is there, which can be understood when there is the hearing about the truth of it, the words of truth about it, and consider more confidence, parami, 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 on and on and on. So it's just so natural. It doesn't mean that when there is the understanding, we don't do this, we don't do that. But no matter what is done or not done by conditions, as usual, as when we wake up, what's going on by conditions. From moment to moment until death and begin again, on and on and on. Different ones, different person. So very temporary moment, so short, that it can be studied. Seeing is not thinking. If there's no attention, no awareness with right understanding, how can there be the understanding of there at different moment? And this is part of me. So whenever there is right understanding, all paramis are there together, depending on what is there appearing. For example, sila, or dana, or any kind of kusala, with right understanding as a base, the foundation of all kinds of kusala, letting go of kusala, ignorance, little by little. Not by anyone, but by conditions. And the conditions to realize the truth is all parami, Intl.Dhamma.
Alberta, I think that point that you brought up is clarified now. Like one of the sentences that Jan had mentioned before was aditana, and talking about being truthful to the truth and firm confidence. But actually, she's referring to the development of aditana parami and satya parami with understanding and with sada all developing together, not meaning that aditana is the truthfulness and the confidence, but it's referring to all those different qualities developing together with understanding. Any more questions on those points?
No, I think it's clearer now, and also the confidence is about it's about the truth, and that's also shows that there are more than just one Chitasika involved in each parami. There are many more than one. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Thank you, John.
Did anyone say something? I didn't hear. Can you hear me?
Yes, John, I don't know if I can ask another question. It's about, you also mentioned recently about wishful thinking, wishful thinking about, which is definitely not a parami. And can you talk more about this as well, John? Thank you.
Can this moment be understood? And when there's no understanding, it is only akusla. Akusla cannot be parami. But even at moment of akusla, there can be the understanding of that moment as it is, as not self. That's why this is the firm confidence of anatta. No matter its worth, is conditioned. That's why adidana is strong enough to let go the desire not to have akusla, but to understand it as not I or anyone at all. It's there by conditions. So whatever now is appearing, no matter in Australia or wherever, Thailand, India, are all conditioned reality. And this is the understanding what is meant by the world. If there is nothing at all, can there be any world? But since there is a reality as it is, conditioned to rise and fall away in split seconds, so very rapidly. That's why it appears as something in someone in the story of the road and the car and the disease and so on. But in truth, all are just different realities arising and falling away. So very rapidly, it brings about the idea of I and things and the whole world. But actually, the world is that which arises and falls away in split second, in truth. If they do not come together, how can there be the idea of something? The tree, the flowers, the road, and the car, and so on, break down. What is there? Only rupa, citta, and citasika in a moment, that's all. Just arise and fall away, never to return. And that is the truth, the absolute truth. Otherwise, they cannot be letting go the idea of self at all. As long as they're seeing it's me, hearing it's me, thinking it's me, and it's the others too, the same. That person sees, that person hears, and so on. All the story of that which arises and falls away in split seconds. To study whether it's true or not, and right understanding then, at that moment of understanding, is the only moment to develop, to be able to understand what is there from one reality to another reality, to understand that no matter what kind of a reality is there, it is just a conditioned reality. No one can make it arise. It's there, it's proofs, it's nature as anatta. And this is, we use the word adidana, or we can use the word confidence of the truth, that is not shakable. It's there. Never change at all, no matter who take it this way or that way to do something, to meditate and so on. But the truth is there. It's just a reality which is there so short, very brief, and then gone, never to return at all. And this is parami, panya parami. Begin to understand the truth, and it's developed when there's more understanding from hearing and considering. and developing on and on by conditions. That's why what we take for people are very much different from one another to another. They are all dhammas.
I think not shakable is a good way to put it. So firm in the development of understanding. It's not shakable, not moved from what is the object to be understood or what is the purpose. That the dhammas have to be understood as anatta. So I think that's a good expression to use.
Right.
And the wishing, Alberto, isn't the wishing just a kind of loba? Wishing for understanding, wishing for more kusala, wishing for metta. Isn't it just different kinds of loba manifesting in different ways?
Yeah, definitely. Loba is there, and is attaching to the to whatever is there, even to the truth, but it's not being truthful to the truth. It's
Not being truth, exactly. And it's thinking that maybe because it's the truth or because it's understanding or the paramis that somehow it's better, but wishing is wishing no matter what the object is.
Yeah, even if it's not there anymore.
It's gone.
That's why it's not true. That's why it cannot be true.
Wishing for that which isn't appearing.
Yeah. To be true, it has to be real. It has to be a reality. So if it's not there, it's not real. So if it's not there, it's not true. So there's so little true in the day. Much more fantasy, as you say.
Wishing is the opposite of being truthful to the truth. Wishing for the truth, but not understanding it.
Yeah. Even now, right? Even right now, it's so little understanding that when it's not understanding, it's not. It has to be not true.
There has to be ignorance of what is there, and when there's wishing, ignorance arises with it.
Yeah.
And it's now different moments of understanding, moments of ignorance, moments of wishing, rising and falling away, but all anatta, all of no consequence.
And even a little bit of truth is so precious. Just what's the value of being untruthful to the truth?
What's the value of wishing for anything different from this moment, right. What appears, no matter what it is? Was there any particular reason you brought up that question or topic of wishing?
Yes, I was thinking in connection, as I was saying, to the truthfulness and the truth and the wishing and not being truthful. Yeah, I think it's makes it's in that perspective. It makes more like saying putting the things more in perspective. Like the truth is very very just not easy at all. We can talk about the truth, but that's not the truth. And just talking about it, it is more than that. It's the moment of panya. That's to be for the truth to be there. It has to be a moment of panya, which is not that often in a day for many of us.
And I'm thinking about the simile in the sutta about the eggs hatching, however much the hen might wish for them to hatch, if there isn't the lying on the eggs and giving the right conditions, they will never incubate. So it's the same with the development of understanding of the truth. No matter how much wishing there is, if there isn't the understanding right now of what appears, and if that understanding doesn't develop, there will never be the understanding of what is true right now.
And also also remind me also of the roof of Loba and the little crack in it. It doesn't look like it's it doesn't look like Loba is there all day or almost all day. Wishful thinking is what really prevents from seeing the truth, from realizing the reality as it is.
Boba as the teacher and as the student, the one that is followed and the one that follows all day, looking for those opportunities. And when it comes to the Dharma, easy to kid oneself when it's Loba. Like Ajahn said, it's not the words or the text or the details or the Pali, it's the truth at this moment. Otherwise, the unseen Loba is there, arising again and again. The teacher and the student again and again. But it's also just a Dharma. That's not self to be understood when it appears.
I think any time that the Dhamma is heard, considered, thought about, talked about with self, that's kidding oneself.
I've found myself thinking recently about Panya and my panya. So often it ties into your comment, Sukin, I think, that there may be some level of understanding. And the level of understanding, if it's true understanding, would not be my panya, but so very often we could take it for that, or subsequent to a small moment of understanding, there arises the thought, oh, I understand, which I will take to be, I look at as my panya.
And that's the kidding oneself that he, yes, the kidding
right.
oneself, the cheating
That's right.
dharmas, yes.
Yeah, for sure. And it's right, without recognizing that, it's difficult to, well, it hinders understanding, I think. And so best to be recognized that it's taking it for self, it's attachment to self and self wanting panya.
I mean, and it's not always that we think about it in terms of my panya or think that I'm the one who's understanding, but sometimes it's just thinking without understanding different concepts that we've heard about, with no understanding, just thinking along like in a philosophical way. But that's what I was referring to, thinking with,
Okay.
yeah.
But that's that's wrong understanding. That's taking something that isn't understanding for understanding. Mine too.
Well, there's conventional understanding and understanding the absolute sense. So if conventional understanding is considered just that, then there's no wrong view attached to it necessarily.
Can you talk about that a bit more, Jonathan, please?
Well, I think, as you rightly said, wrong view is believing that one understands how things really are, when in fact one's understanding about that is incorrect.
Right.
So when one is musing in at a philosophical level, for example, I don't think that there's not the idea that the truths or the thinking that's going on is how things are at an absolute level, but
Yes.
just how things are generally.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think this is important because wrong view has a characteristic. And as I understand it, that characteristic is the belief that one knows how things are in reality. So a lot of the thinking that goes on during the day is not at that level, because there's no thought of the reality of things in the absolute sense. And even though there may be a concept of a table or a person, if one was asked about it, is that table real in the absolute sense? Is it just an assemblage of different parts? Then one knows in one's heart of hearts that a table has no actual substance to it apart from the solidity. Of course, it has the solidity aspect, but it's there one minute, it could be gone the next if it was incorrectly used. And it's a manufactured item. Obviously, a manufactured item is just that, something that's assembled and has value as long as it remains in that, more or less in that form. But you take the wheels off a car, of course, then the car isn't going to go anywhere and going to be useless for all practical purposes. So as I understand it, but Ajahn may correct me here, please, if I'm mistaken, just to have the idea of an object that has a function and is useful doesn't necessarily involve wrong view, because one appreciates that it is like in the sutta where the nun was approached by Mara, and she said in reply to him that when certain things are assembled together, there's the concept of a chariot. And so when the 5 khandhas are present, there's the concept of a being. And that seems to me to be saying that the mere concept of chariot or being is not in itself a wrong view, but nor is it, of course, the understanding of the way things are in truth and reality. But lack of understanding, right understanding, doesn't mean that wrong view is present.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes, that's good to highlight that again, for sure. Sorry, I can't remember how I got into this, so I'm not sure where to go next. We can move on.
I mean, whatever it is, it's only Panya that can know.
Yes.
Right. Only Panya can know what reality is appearing at the present moment. Is that what you're saying, Suki?
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
we're speculating about what may or may not be right or wrong with self or not self, but it's only Panya that knows.
Can know. Yes.
That's true. One can be walking around during the day, thinking about tables and whatever, and there could, if conditions are right, be moments of panya, understanding. But I think by and large, we walk around during the day, not thinking about that, or without the moments of panya.
I mean, what I was trying to say was this, that a lot of time we think about the Dhamma, it's associated with the idea that this thinking, that thinking is it's like Sarah often reminds that we're working things out. That's what happens. And when that is happening, then it's the idea of self.
Yes.
That thinks that it is Panya there, and it is Panya that's thinking, but it's not.
It's still trying to work it out.
Yeah.
And that brings me back to something that I think is important to keep in mind, that the condition of the 4 factors of enlightenment or developing understanding, the reflecting on what has been heard, is obviously not trying to work out what is there at the present moment. It is what it says. It's reflecting on the Dhamma that's been heard. And we might wonder how that can condition the arising of understanding rather than working out what is there at the present moment. But it seems to me that it can, because it can, in thinking about what has been heard, it can somehow be related, not intentionally, but it can somehow illuminate something about the present moment that one wasn't thinking about particularly. And it would be awareness and understanding popping up.
I was going to say popping up at a different level. Yeah.
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 So we don't actually have to be thinking about the Dhamma as such. It can be thinking about some
What?
kind of thinking that is conditioned by the Dhamma,
Yes.
having heard the Dhamma,
Mm.
that is then a condition for some level of awareness and understanding.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's
I think the working out is like the wishing that Alberto was talking about. It's the unseen wishing. It's about me and the story of my panya and trying to get the meaning clear. So the wishing is not understood or seen for what it is. And it can be with or without ditthi at those moments.
And I think that the popping up, as Jonathan was describing, when, you know, can so often be followed by the trying to think it through further. And that is definitely not.
I mean, that popping up is like the crack in the dome of Loka Alberto was referring to earlier.
The rest is all the story of me and the working it out and trying to clarify the meaning. It's not the understanding of just what appears right now. That little crack.
Yeah, another aspect Ajahn was talking, she's been talking recently, it's even what appears is not really what experience. It's not really what experience is, but what is experienced. Almost we can just refer to what is being experienced in terms of concept or reality, even reality. But it's much more difficult to relate to the to that which experiences like chitta, and it's something that we're not really seems like we are not really capable of dealing with it, because because it's always something, it's always someone. How can it be no shape, no form, like chitta or cettasika? It's always shape and form, and somehow it's like some sort of even we think about a person. We think about the shape and form of the person. Even we even when thinking about these qualities and like moral qualities or lack of moral qualities, it's always the actual reality, which is not shape and form, is not it doesn't appear. I think maybe it's so subtle in one word.
And it's not a matter of dealing with anything, but just considering what the reality is and letting understanding develop naturally. So what is seen now is just that which is visible, but usually it's still the idea of my seeing or I am seeing. So this is what is meant when it's said that what appears, there may be some understanding, but what about the rupa? There may be some understanding, but what about the experiencing? What about the seeing? What about the hearing? Now it's just a Dhamma which arises and falls away, not my seeing, not my hearing, not anyone's. So the understanding has to understand not just rupas that are experienced, but what about the namas? What about the seeing itself, the hearing at this very moment?
I mean,
In order to
when I hear that Ajahn talk about that, what it reminds me is just that there's so little understanding, such a long way to go. That's it.
But even now, there can be a little wise considering, like at this moment, no one there, no one to experience anything, just a moment of seeing, a moment of hearing, a moment of thinking, each one arising and falling away completely, but usually completely unknown.
I mean, and as you say, it's usually my understanding, my seeing, and at that moment there can be understanding that it's not my seeing.
Right. And that's the adhitthana, letting go the idea of I, and the firm confidence that it is just the Dhamma at this moment, nothing to be done, nothing to be thought about or sorted out, but right at this moment, it is just that Dhamma which experiences for a moment and then is gone, never to arise again, and then another citta arising, experiencing its object and gone completely. So the understanding has to develop with confidence and all those paramis we were talking about. Good morning, Lucas.
Good morning, Sarah. Good morning, Tanajan. Good morning, everyone. It's a bit late here, but just I'm lying in the bed, and listening to them, and it's good.
You know you're listening, Lucas.
Yeah, did you hear me? Because, I'm not sure if you hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, Lucas, very clearly.
All right, yeah. That's, yeah.
Did you have any comments from the discussion last week, Lucas, or would you prefer just to listen?
Yeah, I just listen, but what can I say? Aditana Parami, maybe, the topic, Aditana Parami, it's interesting a bit, Is the Chetasika Sara, the Aditana Parami?
Sorry, there's the Adimokkha Cetasika, but it's a good question whether it is the same as the Adhitthana. I think if you ask Ajahn, this is a good question.
I mean, I wondered about that too, and then I made a connection in my mind, rightly or wrongly, that the reason Ajahn was referring to confidence is because one, it was the aspect of being unshakable we can talk about confidence in terms of being unshakable, and we can talk about Adhidhana in terms of being unshakable. And so whenever there is any of the paramis, there must be confidence anyway. So confidence is always there with understanding that sattha has to be there. So we can even say that when there's Adhidhana, there must be sattha. And that aspect of being unshakable is both a characteristic of Adhidhana and sattha.
Resolute. Yes, unshakable. Jan, would you like to add anything more to any of the points that have been discussed, or to Lucas's question?
What is his question? What is Lucas' question about?
Would you like to repeat it, Lucas?
Yes, Tanajan, hello. Yes, it's because I think you mentioned last week something about Adhitana Parami, you know, and well, I was thinking about that a bit, and in general, you know, is the Chatasika there, you know, Sarah mentioned this is Adhimokkha, yeah, Adhimokkha. Just it's little known for me, to me about that, you know, if you may ponder over that Adhitana.
Can there be Adhidhana Parami without right understanding?
No, it cannot be, you know, it must always, everything goes with right understanding and Sachanyana, you know.
So what do you mean by Adhimokkha?
What's the characteristic, what's the function, what's the manifestation, what's the immediate cause, you know, of that, you know, what's the characteristic, because we spoke about sati, manasikara, but you very rarely talk about Adhimokkha, yeah, it's also a Chatasika, you know.
It's not possible to understand just directly about any Chatasika while it does not appear. So how many Chittas arise with Adhimokkha? I think you know all about Abhidhamma. So how many Chitta arises with Adhimokkha?
Oh
In
gosh,
order
it
to
must
understand
be
what is Adhimokkha.
Kusala Chittas, all Kusala Chittas, I think.
And how many Chittas do not have Adhimokkha arise with it, with them?
The Dvipancha Vinyanas they don't have, and
Yes.
Vipaka doesn't have, I think. I don't know, Tanajan.
Can it arise with Vicikiccha?
No, it cannot.
So even now, does it arise?
I'm not sure, Tanajan, I don't know.
Its characteristic is opposite of Vicikiccha, right? So is it Kusala or Akusala Adhimokkha or Kriya Adhimokkha? We cannot understand all dhammas at once, but we can think about it to understand little by little about Adhimokkha. It does not arise with Vicikiccha, right? So at moment of when there's no Vicikiccha, is there Adhimokkha? They cannot arise together. That's why it's any moment right now. For example, we used to think that I understand and the understanding of Panya is I. But in truth, we don't have to speak out at all. It's there because it's so very deeply rooted, the idea of self. And that can be the idea of self anytime, unknowingly. That's why we think that we have to say doubt is taken for I, or right understanding is me and so on. But actually, no matter one speaks out or not, it's there already. No, it's not just my panya, but it's also my atimokkha and my everything. It's cetasika. That's why it's there until its characteristic shows up to right understanding, to understand it as just a reality. That's why it doesn't matter at all, because the idea of self underlined all the time in a moment, whatever is seen and think about, I remember, I think, I feel all the time. That's why only when it appears, it's time to understand that reality at that moment as it's not anyone at all. It's the way to eliminate the clinging to that unknowingly as I understand, I don't understand, and Adhimokkha is right and so on. But it's the Adhimokkha now. That's why no matter how much we think about Adhimokkha, what about understanding what is there now because it's there to be understood?
And it's there almost every moment, other than those moments of seeing, hearing, and so on, and the doubt with vicikiccha. But at kusala, akusala, vipaka, kiriya, chitas, there's adhimokkha at almost every moment in a day.
And does anyone like to experience Adhimokkha? And what about what is there now, appearing? Thinking about to understand Adhimokkha and beginning to understand the truth of what is there. That which is seen as only that when they see, only when they see. And this kind of thinking develops little by little, no matter what is there. It's only when it's there. Only, see, no more. And this is life. And nobody can condition anything to be object at all. Depends on conditions. Even right now, it shows its nature. There is seeing and seeing and seeing while there is thinking and hearing. How come? Conditions. Without conditions, nothing can arise at all. So just thinking about Adhimokkha, what is there? See, what is there? It's not thinking more about Adhimokkha, but what is there at moment of thinking about Adhimokkha or thinking about anything. It becomes to be acquainted with that which arises through think, not to see. That's why the doubt and ignorance has to be eradicated or eliminated by understanding little by little. That's why right understanding can know how much understanding of that which is now appearing. Otherwise, it's no way to understand what we are talking about when it does not appear as the object. Just thinking about what is it, how many citta it arises, and so on. But what about now? Even that moment of thinking, is it I? Or is only just the reality which thinks? By that way, there is a right understanding of that which appears little by little as it is, as that which experiences by different manners, thinking or hearing or seeing or liking, and so on. So understand the point of listening to understand that which appears. Otherwise, it's only just thinking or dreaming about whatever is there, as this or that. But it's not there to be known, to be realized. And that which is now appearing can be known as no one. And so many moments not understanding anything. Like now, there's memory. And usually, when there's no understanding, whose memory? I again, my memory. That's right. When sanya does not appear as it is, how can there be the understanding of sanya that it arises with each moment of citta and so on? So it's not just in the book, but from the book it shows the truth of whatever is there. For example, that which experiences an object, the chief of it, why do it has to be known? Because it's there from birth to life to death. While the other sometimes there and sometimes not there at all. But there must be citta. So it's different from other mental factors. And now we're talking about atimokkha. Is there no citta? And what citta is there? It thinks about atimokkha and so on. That's why in order to understand the truth, it comes to understand what can be directly experienced as it is, as not self. Otherwise, there can never be the eradication of ignorance and wrong understanding of that as something. While actually, the world is breaking now, not permanent at all, unknown, because what appears is a succession of that which appears through the eyes, ears, and the body, and the mind are thinking about that. And this is life now. So how much understanding of what is there to understand it actually is not as it is, not that anymore when it's seen or experienced, it's gone instantly. Otherwise, nothing can let go the idea of self. It has been accumulated so long and on, even right now. That's why there's no one and there are different realities. Right understanding is a reality which experiences an object like the other reality which experiences an object, but by different characteristic, different function. Only once in samsara. So from birth it changes all the time, from moment to moment. Just keep on going by conditions to the end of this life and then begin again by conditions. And again to be forgotten. Yesterday was forgotten, last year was forgotten, every moment is forgotten. And this is parami. Without parami, it's impossible to realize the truth of this very moment. Not understanding what is meant by awareness or right understanding and directly experiencing the characteristics of that which is now appearing as not as it is. It appears as it doesn't fall away at all. And this is the world of ignorance and attachment, wrong understanding.
Has the recording stopped?
Sounds, I can't hear anything at the moment.
Well, I just heard you, Jonathan.
Maybe Ajahn is just pausing, waiting for someone to come in.
That's why we talk about now all the time. Can you hear me?
Yes,
can-
Ajahn, loud and clear.
Something wrong with the microphone.
It sounds okay now, Ajahn.
No one can control anything, try to think, try to consider, try to understand. That is no understanding of reality as not I, even that moment. What are there is thought about Adimokkha and so on. But what is there appears, that which is seen, and that which experiences it. And even now thinking, what is that which thinks? Not I, so what is it? A reality with sanya, remembers what one is talking about, and so on. So many conditions, little by little, with this understanding, it let go the wrong understanding and ignorance which take place for something, little by little. So how long will it take? All kinds of barami with panya. And this is letting go the wishing or the wishful thinking about how can I, or can I do, or shall I do, and so on. Impossible, because it's there already. Thinking, seeing, hearing, liking, attachment, and so on, by conditions. And this understanding will let go, trying to do something, but to come closer to what is there as it is. Hardness, remember, it's only hard. It cannot be anything. And when it's there, nothing appears. And that is meant by the world, breaking world, only one at a time. So the arising and falling way can be realized clear and clear, little by little.
And with regard to Adimokkha, so we know that the seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching don't need any other Chaitasikas other than the 7 Chaitasikas that arise with them to experience the object. But even in the first chitta in the sense door process, the sense door adverting chitta has to have Adimokkha to experience the object. So when we refer to Adimokkha as resolution or determination, it's just very approximate, but actually almost every chitta needs it to experience its object other than the doubt with the ignorance with doubt, which we mentioned, but all the other chittas in that sense door process must have Adimokkha to experience the object. So any translations are very approximate, but it has to be unshakable in experiencing its object at each moment when it arises. It helps to just understand how it's just a Dhamma. It's not my resolution or determination and nothing to do with the conventional idea, but just that quality that has to arise with almost every chitta in life, even the vipaka chittas, the other kinds of vipaka chittas, like in deep sleep. The chitta has to be accompanied by Adimokkha to experience its object. Anything else on this topic or any others, Lucas?
Sarah, I think that's it, you know. I need to read more about Adimoka, you know, because we talk during the last years very little about that. So that's why I pointed it. Also because I think Tanajan mentioned it last week, you know. But it's okay, I understand that. Well, this is a big thing to study Dhamma, you know, and it takes time, you know. Yeah. Nice to be here and have the opportunity to listen to the Dhamma, you know, the truth. So that's something that may condition understanding, I think. Yeah. Okay. So
and
thank you. I
understanding.
just the listening, you know.
And considering a little more about these different dharmas is just the way to gradually wean off the idea of I that has determination, or I that has patience, or I that's seeing or hearing, as we mentioned earlier. So it's just for the purpose of understanding that there are just different dharmas arising and falling away in life, no matter the circumstances, no matter the situation. Nothing for I to do at all. Alberta, would you like to say anything to Lucas this week?
I was just thinking, not particularly to Lucas, I was just thinking about Adimoka and Vichikicha. It's which, as Ajahn was saying, they can't arise together. They cannot arise together. It's I think that should help also to get closer to the reality of Adimoka. It's as thinking about it as the opposite of doubt, in the sense that it's when there is doubt, there cannot be Adimoka. Yeah, that's useful to make the connection between helping the understanding of the function of each reality.
Because when there's doubt, there isn't the firm, unshakable conviction in the object that's experienced. So yes, as you say, it's like the opposite.
Is there attachment to Atimokkha at moment of thinking about it?
Yes, for sure.
So what is there?
There is there is Adimokkha.
Can it be realized?
Yes, it can be.
Now?
Maybe.
See, that's why at moment of thinking, clinging to Adimokkha and the story of it, no understanding of what is there to let go, ignorance and attachment. And there must still be the thinking about Adimokkha as long as there's no understanding of what is there. The only way to understand that there is clinging to Adimokkha is when there is the understanding of that which is appearing to be known as no one and no thing. And when Adhimokkha appears, no one and no thing. It's only a characteristic of a reality which is there. But it cannot be known if there's no understanding of the truth of what is there to be known now. Because Adhimokkha is no one like the other reality. But there's no understanding of the reality which is there as conditioned to be different from Adhimokkha because it sees and so on. But the understanding of the truth of whatever, no matter Adhimokkha or attachment, they can experience an object when it's there by its own characteristic and its own function, different from one's, from seeing and hearing, thinking. When there is the understanding of the truth of what is there as a self, because it can experience. So when Adhimokkha is there, it's just a reality which has its own characteristic to be known as no I, no one, no thing at all. And that is the point to study the truth of what is there now, because of not understanding what is there as no self, not self at all, because it just arises to experience an object. And that which arises, but it cannot experience an object. Who can change that? Who can control or who can make it arise? This is the truth of all dhammas. When what is there arising and is there not falling away yet, by conditions for its arising and falling away, until it can be directly understood, little by little from the very beginning, that it's now so close, it's not known. So should it be known, otherwise the other reality which will come cannot be known either, because there's no understanding of the nature of that which arises and falls away. So it has to be just like this. And this is not the confidence, the unshakable understanding of what is there is to be realized for sure, because it's there. It has its own characteristic, which no one can change it because it has a reason and fall away. So the truth can be developed. So the truth can be developed little by little to let go the clinging to such adhimokkha or samapatthana or whatever. That's why it has to begin to understand the nature which is taken for self, because it only arises to experience an object. And that, when we take it from my body, it's only that which is conditioned to appear through one doorway, the body sense, and the mind door, after it has experienced the body, the hardness of the body. See, and so on. This is the way to understand what is the past. Otherwise, one is taken off from this moment to some other idea and so on, postponing all the time, and there must be doubt more and clinging more and more, ignorance and unwholesome moments. That's why the path is very, very subtle. It has to be firmly understood that what is seen or appearing can be the object of understanding. Because it's there, it arises and it falls away. But it's covered by ignorance and attachment to whatever is there. How can be the moment of understanding that it's not there anymore when they come together, appear together as something? But in truth, they cannot be just one reality arising, like or even rupa. There must be other things arising together, but it can appear to be known only one at a time. To understand that they cannot be taken for anything because it's just that only one. Hardness is one. Sound is one. Smell is another one. All gone. Is it not true? So to understand the truth, which is the path leading to the realization of the absolute truth has to be now. What is there now? When it's gone, it has another one to show as it is, appear as it is, to be known. Sound gone, hardness gone. That's why when there's confidence and Adidana of understanding the truth at this very moment, that will condition direct understanding to begin to understand that the other moment cannot bring about the understanding of what is there at all, because even it's there, it's not known. And this is the parami, firm, unshakable understanding of what is there. It's only that which can be known. Otherwise, there is thinking, and even thinking is not self. It has to be known at moment of thinking too. So at moment of thinking about adimokkha, what is there? Not self. That's which things. And attachment is there too, and so on. It's there unknown until it's gradually known. From hearing, considering, to be directly understanding instantly by conditions what it is, as we have heard. So true about what is there now, any moment. Otherwise, what can be the truth to be known when there's no attention or awareness with understanding of that which is now appearing? Little by little, it has to be the beginning and again, developing to higher degree or clear degree. That's why Buddha asked about whatever was there when people came to see him. So where are you now? Or is there you? Or what is that? And what is ignorance? And what ignorance ignore about, not understanding at all? Or now and here and gone. Otherwise, it's not part of me, because it cannot lead to the realization of what it's there as it is, right then or right now.
And a moment of pariyati is it enough to be parami as well? Is it can it is it clear? Is it clear enough? Is it strong enough to be parami? Just thinking.
When it's not right understanding, it cannot understand. But right understanding understand that. Is the understanding of the nature of that which experience, not I see, not I hear. No considering about this at all. How can there be a little more confidence, unshakable that it has to be as it is right now, no one there at all. So it doesn't matter at all whether it is doubt or attachment or anger or ego or whatever. All are conditioned Dhamma because it experiences an object different from that which is hard or sweet or heard. And is there anything else in life if they are not what we are talking about? And the enlightenment means understand what is there, which is taken for the world and people and things, permanent. And Panya is Parami. Without Panya, no understanding, there cannot be any Parami. Because Parami is that which condition the moment of enlightenment of the truth right now or then, anytime, by conditions. Is whatever there now conditioned? See, this is the beginning too. Anytime, anything can be the beginning of understanding because ignorance and attachment cling to them as something or I all the time. So it's not just only I understand, also I see, I think, I doubt, I like. I'm sick, I remember everything, no I at all. All are conditioned realities. At any moment when it's there, arising and falling away now, without understanding precisely just one reality at a time, how can there be the realization of the different ones arising at different moments, from moment to moment, by conditions? And this is the subtle, and this is a subtle letting go of the idea of self. It's not just the self try to do something to let go.
Alberto, is your question whether just the odd occasional moment of panya, whether it can be considered as parami or whether it has to be the development of panya? Is that what you were asking about?
Yeah, as I understand, pariyati is just if it's when we say it's only understanding as the first state level, the lowest level of understanding. Since it doesn't arise often enough to be more apparent to allow for the reality to appear as it is, not enough conditions for panya to arise to allow to not enough accumulation of understanding for understanding to arise enough to understand the characteristic of the reality. So in that sense, it's pariyati. It's just not enough for patipati. That's why I was thinking maybe if it's when we say it's understanding at the pariyati level, it's just not enough for being patipati. But is it can also sometimes be not enough to be parami. I don't know. I was just asking. Yeah, that was my question. What's which I think Ajahn answered that when it's panya, it is parami when it's panya.
And when we say
Which,
it's not enough to understand the reality that appears, but it's the beginning. So whether we call it parami or sub-parami, I don't think it matters, but it's the beginning of understanding the reality that appears, even if it's just intellectually, but it's beginning to understand what appears right now so that it develops to become firmer and firmer to condition the direct understanding of what appears. But right from the beginning, it has to be the beginning of understanding of what appears now, even at that level.
I mean, wouldn't that moment of understanding, even at the pariyati level, be truthful, being truthful?
yeah, I see the point. Yeah, it must be parami. When it's panya, it has to be parami. Yeah.
From the beginning, when it really is the true panya that begins to understand what appears now, not just the definition or the book knowledge or something, the fake pariyati, but the real pariyati, the real understanding that begins to understand what appears now.
Good morning, everyone. I have a question for Achan regarding Citta Vipallasa. I don't understand what Citta Vipallasa means. Can you explain, please, Achan? Because we're told that Citta is Pandara, clear. So why do we then have a Citta Vipallasa? Are you there, Achan?
I'm sorry, I forgot again to turn on. When Vipallasa arises, does it arise with panya?
Vipallasa does not arise with panya.
No, I mean, excuse me, citta. When Sati Vipallasa arises, does it arise with citta?
Well, yes. I mean, if there's Sanya Vipallasa, then obviously there's Citta. So is it because the Sanya, because there is Sanya Vipallasa, it automatically makes it Citta Vipallasa?
So when we talk about Pandara, we just talk about citta. But when we talk about Vipallasa, it means that there must be Sanya Vipallasa arising with citta. So at any moment, Sanya Vipallasa arises, citta is Vipallasa, but citta itself is Pandara.
Zita, it's the ignorance that is the reason for the Vipallasa. So the object is the same for Sanya and Chitta. But because of ignorance, that moment it's Vipallasa. For both Sanya, you can refer to Sanya as being Vipallasa because of ignorance, and Chitta being Vipallasa because of ignorance.
And so, Sukhin, would that also involve Diti Vipallasa?
Not when there's no Diti. It's Diti Vipallasa, Sandhya Vipallasa, Chitta Vipallasa when there is Diti.
Oh, of course, yeah, because Diti does not arise with every Citta. Yes, okay. Okay, yeah. Oh, that was easy. Thank you.
Whenever any akusala cetasikas arise, ignorance in any other akusala cetasikas, it's always sanya vipalasa and always citta vipalasa, even though the citta itself is pure. But it's referring to the citta arising with the akusala factors.
Right. Yes, of course. Okay. I thought that was probably the case, but it just seemed to be quite talked about at one of the sessions before. So just to clear that up, there's sanya, citta, and ditthi vipalasa. And then there's four things that they take as incorrect, like taking impermanence for permanent, non-suffering for, suffering for, the other way around, non-suffering for suffering.
Suffering for non-suffering, yes.
Suffering for non-suffering, sorry, yeah. Happiness, sadness for happiness. Is that another one? There's four. So I've got two. What are the other two?
Unbeautiful, unbeautiful, beautiful.
What is not
unbeautiful,
beautiful. And what is not self for self.
Okay, right. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you.
So there's always, at any moment of akusala, there's always the citta and sanya vipalasa. And after the ditthi has been eradicated, no more taking of what is impermanent for permanent and what is not self for self, but still the taking of what is unsatisfactory for satisfactory, and that which is foul taken for what is beautiful.
Right. So we at that moment of Sotapatti Magga, then the two of them disappear, the taking for permanence.
So only two more, yes.
Yeah, and left with two more. Okay. Right. Thank you.
So is there vipalasa now?
Probably, Ajahn, probably most of the day there would be sanya vipalasa. Unless there's moments of kusala.
Any moment of akusala, that must be ignorance, and also vipalasa, sanya vipalasa, citta vipalasa, depending on that very moment, whether there is ditthi vipalasa together or not.
Right. So there's actually a lot of vipalasa in a day, in every day, in every year.
I mean, even now, if it's not a moment of kusala, and it's not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, or if there's no panya, even intellectual understanding, it's vipalasa, sanya vipalasa, citta vipalasa.
Last week, yes, last week we were talking about forgetfulness, like people think about conventional ideas of forgetting this and that and memory, forgetfulness, but actually there's sanya vipalasa at almost every moment. Whenever there's ignorance, it is the vipalasa of sanya, nothing to do with the conventional ideas of forgetfulness, like when Ajahn forgot to turn on her microphone. Conventionally, we would refer to it as forgetfulness or poor memory, but no one can say at which moment there is sanya vipalasa, because it depends whether it's kusala or akusala at that moment. There could be kusala chitta with no vipalasa. When forgetting, turn on the microphone. And there can, oops, I'm having some interference from Jonathan's microphone, so I'll just pause.
Okay, then, Sukin, I've written down something you said, I don't know when, maybe just last week or something. Sanya remembers what Ditti misunderstands, and I thought that was quite good, but could you elaborate what this means?
As Sarah was referring to, the Ditti is taking what is not permanent for permanent, what is dukkha for sukha, what is not self for self, what is foul for beautiful. That's Ditti. So Sanya marks all that wrongly.
Right. Yes.
Sanya marks as permanent, marks as self, marks as sukha, marks as beautiful. What is not.
Right. Yes, that makes a lot of sense. So in fact, there's only those three, Jitta, Sanya, and Ditti are the three that cast as vipalasa when there's no more. There's no more Jeta seekers that we would class as vipalasa. That's a question for you, Sukin.
I don't know. I'm just thinking that it's significant why we say Sanya is a Khanda, and then Chitta is chief, and Ditti is that particular reality that takes everything wrong. Ignorance, for example, does not performs the function of taking realities in the wrong way. So these stand out. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yes, that makes sense also. So ignorance, moha, is just ignorance, just ignorant of everything. Thank you.
At moment of akusala, what are vipalasas?
At the moment of ignorance, then there would be Sanya vipalasa and Chitta vipalasa, not necessarily Ditti.
When chitta is vipalasa, does the cetasika which arises with it also vipalasa? Or can it understand and it can be kusala when chitta is akusala?
No, that's impossible.
So at any time we talk about just chitta, it includes cetasikas arising with it. If sanya is not vipalasa, can there be attachment to the object when it's there?
I would say no.
So can attachment be vipalasa? Or only chitta can be?
Well, attachment be vipalasa. Well, I understand that it's just those three things that are classed as vipalasa: Sanya, Chitta, and Ditti. So if that's the case, then Lopa cannot be vipalasa.
So what about the other realities which arise together with chitta and sanya?
Well, they're agusala.
Chitta is vipalasa, but lopatosa are not vipalasa, or and they are vipalasa too. Anytime we talk about citta, it includes cetasika.
Yeah.
When it's known, it's not. We don't have to talk about it because it's understood that it's there.
Right. So that by the fact that it's a kusala and that citta is vipalasa, it just automatically that all of the jetasikas that arise with that citta are vipalasa as well.
That's why when we talk about sanya vipalasa and ditti vipalasa, it doesn't mean that only sanya there is vipalasa, but the other reality which arise together is vipalasa because of sanya vipalasa. And cetasika are also vipalasa because citta is vipalasa. How can one separate them? That this is vipalasa and that is not vipalasa when they arise together.
Yes.
So
Yes.
without all the Chetasikas performing their functions, there wouldn't be, that overall experience. So if it's Vipalasa, then it needs the help of all the Chetasikas to make what it is. Without ignorance, the sanya wouldn't be Vipalasa. And without sanya, there wouldn't be ignorance. So all the Chetasikas are conditioned by other Chetasikas, and they condition the other Chetasikas.
Yes.
That's why we talk about the three vipalasa. Sanya vipalasa arises with ditti vipalasa, and when ditti has been eradicated, sanya is still vipalasa without ditti arising with it.
Right, because as Sarah explained earlier, that taking impermanence for permanence and taking for self what is non-self at the moment of Sotapanna, they're eradicated, but there's still those other two. Beautiful, taking something that's ugly for beautiful, and I think happiness and sadness, mixing them up.
What is unsatisfactory, taking for satisfactory. What is
right? Thank you.
what is dukkha, taking for being sukha.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I always find it interesting when I think I know something, and then to discover that really I don't know anything at all. It's a bit funny, really.
That's why we have to consider all the words of truth because they conform with each other. For example, when the ditti is absolutely eradicated, but there can still be sanya vipalasa and citta vipalasa without ditti for Sotapanna and Sakatagami, Anagami, Arahata. And for Anagami, not vipalasa, taking that for pleasant, to be object of clinging, sensuous object no more. Otherwise, there cannot be the understanding of different levels of panya developed stage by stage, little by little. Even experiencing nibbana, but how much panya is there strong enough as arahata or only sotapanna?
it certainly is proven that it takes a long time to understand, and even with a little bit of understanding, sometimes that just seems to disappear. But obviously, as I have learned, that understanding does accumulate. So I guess it doesn't get lost. It's just, yeah, it's there, but it seems to disappear a lot.
I mean, all this seeming is because it's thinking in terms of me, I.
Titi Vipalasa. Yeah.
Not the
Agree,
word.
the seeming, the wondering, the thinking about it, instead of just understanding what appears now, because whatever's arisen is gone anyway. It doesn't matter at all. So no need to think about what happened to it and why isn't it clearer and when will it be more, because it's all quite all Vipalasa.
I read, I think it might have been you, Sarah, posted that little verse, the past is the left behind, the future not yet reached. There's just the ever-present moment. And I've often thought of that, the past, you know, last week, last year, last life, and the future, well, into the future. However, it occurred to me the other day that the past is just this moment gone already, and the future is the very next moment that hasn't yet arisen. So that was quite a surprise when I realized that. I think that's what it means. Yeah.
And if there's ignorance now, it's gone already. No point dwelling on it. It's completely gone. If there's understanding now, it's gone too. No point clinging to it or thinking about it, because whatever has arisen has gone instantly.
Yeah. Yes, it's and I think it's occurred to me in these recent few days, because the family are moving. Part of them have gone already. They've moved far away, and it's quite upsetting. However, that verse came to me, and then that's when I thought, well, it's the last moment of grieving's gone. You know, there's just this moment, and blah blah blah. So it was a good little reminder that
Set is now, and it's gone.
It's always now. It's and the past is gone. That moment's gone. Mm. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ika.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everybody. Very good discussion.